This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Frank Gore Jr. has been named the East-West Shrine Bowl offensive most valuable player. Scored on a 67-yard touchdown rush earlier in the game. Looks just like his father as well. And there's his father proudly taking pictures of him right now as he's being interviewed with the trophy. So congratulations to Frank Gore. And now they're announcing a defensive MVP Senior Bowl this week. It's NFL draft time around the corner. Rick Saratella will step up and in a level 3 to join us. We got Neil Parker for a couple more minutes from Covers.com. Cam Stewart in the house. Let me quickly rattle off the rosters here for people. So Team Matthews is all Leafs. Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Jake Ottinger's the goalie, Clayton Keller, Matthew Barzell, Shesterkin, Flip Forsberg, DeBrincat, and Trocheck. Very fast team, Cam, Team Matthews. Built for speed, this team.
They are. I'm just looking at Team Matthews and going, they're dangerous. And then I just looked at Team McDavid, and I'm like, McDavid, Draisaitl, Gabe, Pasternak, like Reinhardt on Florida. They got a lot to like about that team, too. It's pretty interesting. But, no, you're right. That's one thing about the Leafs. They're fast team. Not really tough in the playoffs, but they do have a hell of a lot of speed.
I'm going to be biased here. I'm going to go with Team Hughes, with Quinn Hughes, Pedersen, Kucherov, Demko, Kyle Connor, Brady Tkachuk, Jesper Bratt, Cam Talbot, Brock Besser, JT Miller, Frank Vetrano. Pretty good team here, Neil, as far as Team Hughes is concerned. And they're deep.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jesper Bratt would be the one that might turn a few heads because he definitely has that offensive flair and could be a real dynamo with Quinn Hughes. And there's some chemistry there, obviously, with Jack Hughes, the older brother or the younger brother of Quinn, too. Like I said, my only concern was just that they didn't give Kucherov any buddies on his team, right? Like they could have, if they would have taken Kirill Kaprizov or something, right? That'd been fantastic. But yeah, no, I think those are the two best teams, Matthews and the Team Hughes, and it's just the depth with McKinnon and McDavid, very top heavy, a lot of offensive skill. Do you know that the Oilers have only lost once in overtime and only given up one overtime goal, obviously. So that's kind of interesting. I just think it'd be like McDavid and Draisaitl, just deadly combo. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. The overs, it really depends, right? Like Cam Talbot can't stop anything right now. So You're going to put him in there, he's going to get lit up. So I think that's an opportunity because he's with Team Hughes, I'm pretty sure, is their backup.
I learned my lesson, even though it was the women's game. I learned my lesson tonight with betting unders in all-star games. Like, if, you know what I mean? Like, if don't bet it or you just sort of take a chance with it, especially with this 3-on-3 stuff. Shout out to everyone joining us on SiriusXM Channel 159. So before we get to the Super Bowl, Neil, are you interested in the skills competition at all? I'm going to be betting on some of these events. Are you pulling the trigger at all?
Josh Jingles did a great job for us on Covers.com today. Very comprehensive breakdown of the event and the odds and the past odds and history. And I'll just share one quick takeaway that I got from Josh, and it's for the overall winner. And that's that Cale Makar is the only player that is in both the hardest shot and the fastest skater competition where there's only 5 contestants. So he's automatically going to get points in those 2 events. And he's higher up in the favorites. I mean, he's the second or third favorite in both of those competitions. So, just from that alone, you can kind of imply that he's going to get a couple points and end up potentially advancing. So
Love the angle, yeah.
That's a great angle.
So really hat tip to Jingles there because he really did a great job with that. And then the only competition where there isn't like really balanced odds that are all basically everyone's a long shot is that fastest skater. The hardest shot too, Pedersen's quite a chalky guy, but so I like Matty Barzell and the fastest skater. Obviously McDavid won it 3 times in a row before bowing out, but Barzell's got the wheels as we were talking about before the break, and I really expect him to kind of have a breakout kind of let's go. He won it before too, right? So obviously he's a fantastic skater, great edges, and so I kind of like him a little further down the board. Other than that, just real quickly, long shot Nylander with the passing, maybe the one-timer and hardest shot Pasternak potentially, stick handling McKinnon, And the accuracy, let's go with Kucherov. So, I mean, they're all long shots. And yeah, have some fun with it if you want, right? It's, and because everyone's such a long shot, you can almost pick two guys and still, better your chances. So
Neil, for the game, I'm looking at the goalies, and I know Demko's had a great year, but I get all these Bruin games, like even more Bruins games than Leafs games here in Toronto. We get them all the time. Swayman, in my opinion, is the most underrated goaltender in the league. I watch him on a nightly basis. The guy's amazing. Like, the saves he makes for Boston are stupid. Like, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
Well, he's kind of, because he does the job share with Ullmark, and obviously Ullmark won the Vezina Trophy last year. I agree. So for me, I'm just wondering if the moment's maybe a bit too big. First All-Star appearance. Say that 6 times fast. So that's all I'm worried about with him. And then, but I agree 100%. It's fantastic. He's got great numbers, and his numbers date back to last year. I mean, especially when you look at the goals saved above average, the high danger save percentage, he's legit for sure, 100%.
So, Neil, before we get you out of here, we got about 2 minutes. Neil Parker, covers.com. Super Bowl. Have you put any props in yet? What are your thoughts that now we're 10 days away?
So I haven't got into any props yet. To be honest, I've been pretty focused on golf and hockey with the new transition over to covers.com. But with that being said, I was right away. I took the Chiefs money line at plus money at plus 110, I believe. So I got that in there. And I'll definitely be looking at the props in game. I was able to nab some Brock Purdy unders in the championship game, NFC, last week. So I found there was value there. So kind of depending on how the game plays out, be ready to do some live betting. And overall, I'm not a huge Super Bowl guy, to be honest. I like to sit back and really just enjoy the game. But like I said, I think the live angle is the way to go, because typically the prop lines are pretty tight. It's one game, and they know there's going to be so much action. But I'll keep an eye out. I know there's a lot of my colleagues have a bunch of picks out there, but right now I like the Chiefs. I think coming in with solid momentum, consecutive upsets, obviously, whereas the 49ers, obviously an amazing team, a lot of weapons, and I'm not going to sit here and say that Brock Purdy can't get the job done or anything like that, but I just haven't liked that they allowed inferior teams to hang around, and they've had to pull off consecutive come from behind wins, and eventually that can become too hard to do. So I like Chiefs.
They're going to have to play 60 minutes. You're right. That's the one thing I'm concerned about, is that Purdy and the Niners as a whole can't afford not to be ready. The Chiefs are always ready. Mahomes was born ready. Thank you, Neil.
Have a good one, Neil.
Thanks, guys.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news. Trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
in-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage late night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. Thanks to Neil Parker from Covers.com for joining us. Let's defeat the book right now. Derek Dime steps up and in. Derek's been too long. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us. We're jam-packed tonight, but I want to get you on before the Super Bowl. Joel Embiid, down and out. Sixers are up at the half right now, but let's start off with the Joel Embiid stuff. Wow. That's it for the Philadelphia 76ers. Simple as that.
Yeah, a little heartbreak there. First of all, thanks for letting me come back on, man. It's been a little bit. Nice to see you guys here once again. Yeah, I'm a big-time Sixers fan down here around Philly. So Joel going out, pretty much season over. I'm honestly one of those guys who I love Joel, but I was kind of on board with trying to get rid of him and get maximum value while you can and try to get him out of there because I'm not sure that he's somebody who's going to stay healthy enough for you to win a title.
That's always been the problem, isn't it? Right? The durability factor. I don't know if it's, he's a bigger dude. He's had a lot of injuries in the past. It's one of these instances. It's not like it's going to get better in the future. Right? It's too bad that it is what it is. But I was always surprised. I brought this up earlier that I was surprised about Nick Nurse. There were all those jobs out there. And I figured he would sort of go with a younger team so it wouldn't just be all or nothing. And really, you're all in on Embiid. So now if you're Nick Nurse, like you've just sort of been, well, you know what I mean? How will they do without him? They're winning right now. It's 71-61 right now. How do you think this game goes before we get to the future? What about tonight? Are you surprised they're up a 10 spot?
I mean, the way Tyrese Maxey, I think he's had 26 points at halftime here so far. So Tyrese has been playing out of his mind coming back from injury. I mean, if he's going to play at that type of level, they always have a chance to win. But the bench doesn't really score enough points, in my opinion. They're really trying to hang their hat on Kelly Oubre to get buckets, who's been a very nice addition. But overall, I just don't think they're deep enough. In this game, I think that it's going to be tight to the end. I'm actually on the other side in this game. But I didn't expect Maxey to play there. So with these NBA games, you never know till the last minute who's going to play.
Would you take Utah at 4.5, guys, now? Would you take Utah at 4.5, Gabe? Or, you need more? What do you think?
No, I would take 4. I would take 4.5.
Yeah, from a situational standpoint, they were 5.5-point favorites, right? The thing I don't like about Utah, and I talk about this all the time, and I like this Utah team. I talked about their covering machine, 7-3 ATS last 10. I rolled them on the East Coast trip, but I don't like betting on teams, Derek, back their first home game back after road trips. You know what I mean? Baseball, basketball, I'm not a fan of it. Hockey, the sports where you travel and you're away for a weekend, especially if you had a good road trip. You come back home, you're happy, and but I would expect Utah, Cam, to dig down deep here. And, I think they're worth a look at plus 4.5. I got an in-game over 258, 2.5 because I'm an idiot. But I wanted to ask, too, you see this when LeBron is out with the Lakers. They play faster. right? LeBron's great and stuff, but he's also older. And you got younger dudes. Suddenly they're like, all right, the old man's not here. Let's run a little bit now. We can run. What about now the Sixers without Joel Embiid? Are we going to see higher scoring games, Derek, do you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They got to get up and down with some of these.
You don't have a choice,
I mean,
right?
obviously,
Open to stretch the floor now.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Exactly. You got to get up and down. You got to play. And some of these other guys are nice. They have a lot of combo guards. I like D'Anthony coming off the bench. Like I said, Kelly Oubre coming off the bench. Patrick Beverley's been a nice addition as well at the guard position. But they don't really have a ton of bigs. I mean, this is the NBA. A lot of the bigs that are any good, they're stretch fours now. There's really no dominant fives. Him and Joker shoots the three, like a guard, as does Joel Embiid. But neither one of those guys move very well. You know what I mean? I can't remember the kid's name now. But out in Minnesota there, you have Karl Anthony Towns, and then you have Gobert. Gobert is one of the last, true centers in the game. So when you don't have real bigs like that in the game, you kind of got to get up and down. That's just the way the NBA's been trending here.
And we should note, too, Joel Embiid was going to be on the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I don't know.
I thought that was a stupid idea to commit. Yeah, I mean, you've yet to really have a season where you've been. Yeah, you've yet had a season where you've been healthy in the playoffs and been able to carry your team, and now you're going to commit to playing more basketball. Sounds like a terrible idea to me.
I looked at it sort of like ring chasing a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it could be.
Like, sort of like, right. I'm going to jump on this. And, he became an American citizen. So I'm not questioning, he's not American. He became an American citizen, fine.
Right.
But why not play for Cameroon, bro? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like these, you know what I mean? Like Pascal Siakam from Cameroon. Like, you guys all join together, you can be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll play with the U.S. You know what I'm saying?
Let's play for the U.S. Better chance to win for me. Yeah.
He's
pure Embiid right there.
Well, it is Cam. That's why I looked at it. I'm like, dude, because the thing is, at the time, it was like Embiid chooses USA over France.
Right.
And France were sort of like, we never asked him. You know what I mean? No, he's not part of our program. But the thing is, Cam, if you're Cameroon, you can do the French thing too. So
that's right.
The thing is, they got Rudy Gobert and a kid named Victor Wembanyama. So they're like, we've already got our guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and he screwed them because Embiid called them. I don't know if you remember, Derek. Remember the French president said, I know you usually don't talk about this stuff, but he goes, we got called from him about is there a spot for him? And we said, you know what? He's Joel Embiid. We're not going to say no to him, but he called us.
He's
and then we
soliciting
find
them.
out in the media. And then he found out in the media he chose the U.S. camp. And then it was like, France lost him. And he said, we never asked him. He's the one that asked us. We never asked him. And he said, we have Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama, and we're happy.
That's the best. And he has to call them like a door-to-door salesman. You want me? You want me? They're like, nah.
Yeah, and then he ends up on the U.S. team, but the U.S. needed him at the time, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about the Olympic basketball, Derek? I'm fired up for this. Do you think the U.S. are going to win, or are they going to get all they can handle?
I think they're definitely going to get all that they can handle. I mean, the world's caught up now. This isn't the 90s. You know what I mean? We saw what happened with the USA in the early 2000s. European basketball is different, and they play together. They train guys differently than we do here. If American AAU basketball, in my opinion, is complete shambles. It's all one-on-one. Nobody shares the rock. So this is, in my opinion, the most skilled the NBA has been, but it's also the least cohesive that we've seen it. Guys aren't really sharing the ball. They're not passing. They're not moving. They're not cutting. A lot of those type of things. But, to me, to go back to that Joel Embiid, it kind of reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. When you're thinking about rings, you now start to realize you're getting in your career. You got an MVP. You got all these accolades, but you're not possibly not going to get an NBA title. So let me try to go over here and get an Olympic title while I can to try to add it to my resume.
You guys saw Germany and Schroeder, Gabe? Like that. We watched a Germany team.
Yeah.
I'm like, these guys are playing as an efficient unit here. Like everybody's getting touches and play D. Like you said it.
Well,
European teams, they don't screw around.
And people said, wow, the U.S., that wasn't the best of the best. Yeah, you know what? A lot of these other teams didn't have their best of the best either. And you still finished fourth, the U.S. And one guy we're excited about is SGA in Canada. Canada's got a nice roster too, man. And you got a player like SGA, you could beat anybody, bro.
Facts. And a lot of these guys who we kind of look at as mid-tier guys, like you mentioned Dennis Schroeder. Like Dennis Schroeder's just a nice role player in the NBA. When he gets to the international stage,
he's a star suddenly.
He's a superstar.
Exactly.
I remember back when it was
because they understand the
Puerto
rules
Rico.
too. They know know the refs, they know the lanes, they get it, right? They understand it.
Yep.
And they play harder for their country. Like it's just one of those deals too, where you're sort of like. Yeah, no, you see it all the time, like Russia and hockey, right? In the NHL in the old days, man, they would never block shots. And then you get him in international play, and it's like, this guy just like, he's skating through a wall. You're like, man, you don't do this for your NHL team, right? But it's international, like the European guys, it's a different level for them. It's going to be lit.
Yeah.
Now, you got Jokic, you've got Luka Doncic. Dude, you got
a lot
France,
of stars.
the home team. Like, France are loaded, too. Like...
Yeah, it's really, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah. Everyone talks about how great the NBA is, and it is, but we're really being carried by a lot of these overseas stars. Some of the best young stars are not American stars. You know, we have the Greek Freak.
Look at all the MVPs.
All the best
Jokic,
guys.
Giannis, Embiid. All that Embiid's American now, so it's killed our argument.
Right.
We're getting into football on the other side.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks, backup
Pharrell
quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
better.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
71-61 at the half right now for a Joel Embiid-less Philadelphia 76ers. They're up a 10 spot. I talked about grabbing the in-game total 252.5. It's currently 250.5 right now. We just took the Utah Jazz plus 4.5. College basketball, Grand Canyon is up 5 right now in the dying seconds in overtime against Seattle. New Mexico State is up 75-73. They went to overtime as well. A surprising one, Hawaii, up 55-40 right now on Cal State Fullerton. Long Beach and Bakersfield, a close one, 47-45. But let's jump into the marquee matchup here. And I'll throw it to you, Derek, on this. I did pull the trigger on the Ducks here before tip-off on the money line. It's been a close game. Now they're up 46-39, and I feel pretty good because a high-scoring game doesn't help USC. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up an underachieving USC Trojan basketball team this year. And then speaking of underachievers, UCLA laying 10.5, guys. I brought it up, Cam. You can still get the Beavers at plus 7.5, and I don't even think that's crazy. Hell, they might win the game at plus 450 on the money line.
I'm starting to think about that too. That's UCLA is just, it's shocking where this program has gone, Gabe. Oregon State's been world beaters too. 19.5-point dogs beating Arizona outright. They've been playing good basketball lately. I think I might have to get involved.
Did you play any college here in the late night hours, Derek?
Yeah, I was out today. I was on SMU. We got bit there late. Tulane came and made a late push. But we were on Nebraska plus the 1.5, which was a nice win. They won that one outright, and a nice sandwich spot there as we see Wisconsin in the top of the Big Ten. Now they got to play Purdue. So I thought that was a nice look-ahead spot for us to try to grab Nebraska there. And in a spot where they've been playing tremendous at home. They've already knocked off some big-name teams there at home this season, so we were not able to catch that one. I'm also on Oregon, as you said. You're on Oregon money line. I'm on Oregon money line. I got them at $1.30, I believe it is. So feeling pretty good about that so far here today.
Looking at the overnight NBA card, then we'll get into the Super Bowl. The Clippers are laying 10.5 in Motown against the Pistons, 235.5. Heat are 8-point favorites against the Wizards, 233. Phoenix have been scorching. They're minus 3.5-point favorites in the ATL. The total's 248 there. Sacramento and the Pacers. This should be a fun game. Total's 246.5. Sacramento are 2-point road favorites in this game right now. The Thunder are 16.5-point favorites over the Hornets, 230. Warriors lay 5.5 in Memphis, 224. Pelicans lay 7 in San Antonio, 236.5. Magic and T-Wolves 7-point home favorites, 212.5. The Raptors get 6 in H-Town. The total 227.5. And the Blazers coming off their big upset win last night over Dame Lillard and the Bucks. They're getting 11.5 in the Mile High City. Anything catch your eye in the overnight card here, Derek, and the association?
Man, a ton of big numbers, it seems like. Here in the NBA lately, it's been a lot of ugly spreads, a lot of large numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Like, I just have, like, minimal interest when it gets to the 14, 15, 16. I'd rather look at the totals in some of those games. I'd rather have it be a little less than that. I'm not ever really interested in laying the 16. I got bit the other day taking a 14, I think it was, point dog and got lit up by the Mavericks there, who were in the game. It was like a 5 or 6 point game going to the fourth quarter, and then only scored 17 points and got smoked in the fourth quarter and killed my cover. I am interested in the Suns. I think now with Bradley Beal being back and then building up some chemistry, and they've really been rolling here late. I really like what the Suns have been doing. This is a team I want to keep my eye on here moving forward. With a lot of guys in and out, they haven't had a lot of reps with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. So that's a team I really want to try to look into moving forward.
All right, let's get to the Super Bowl. Countdown to kickoff is on. How do you feel about this game? Does anything jump off the screen at you as far as the side, total, and/or props are concerned?
Yeah, this is going to be a tight game. I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. Obviously, the Chiefs coming back here to the Super Bowl once again, beating up on my Eagles last year in what was a high-scoring affair. I think we could be in for another high-scoring affair. I'm going back and forth on the side here, one way or the other. I could see on one hand how Brock Purdy kind of gets his just due, I should say, and Kyle Shanahan can say this is my quarterback, and they have a ton of weapons with Kittle and McCaffrey and Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, just absolutely rolling there with that offense. But on the other side, man, how do you go against Patrick Mahomes and what he has? And a lot of people talked about what they lost. They really only lost Juju Smith-Schuster there offensively, and you could slide in Rice in that spot, and they're pretty much the same offense. Pacheco's back. They have Kelsey back. And they're kind of playing a different brand of football where they're playing with a lot more defense and running and controlling the clock here. Playing mistake-free football will be the key here in this one. So on the side, I think it's tough. I'm probably going to stay away from the side there, honestly. But I do like the over here in this matchup.
I brought up a prop earlier. Both teams to get 20 or more points. 20 or more. Both teams to score 20 or more. Minus
like
110,
that.
Derek.
I like that too.
I like that.
It takes away the win. You won't have to stress out after. Now, I'm still going to bet it, who's going to win the game, but it softens the blow a little bit, even if it's lower score and it's 23-20. But I have a hard time believing that it won't get over 47.5 either, like between these two teams.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time believing that as well. We've seen what Green Bay was able to score 21 points, and in my opinion, Jordan Love did a nice job, but we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? I feel like they really took their foot off the gas there in the second half versus the Ravens. I thought they had an opportunity to try to do more. They kind of played it conservative and ran the ball. And that defense, although it's been awesome, there was plenty of opportunities for the Ravens to score there. They got into the red zone multiple times and had turnover after turnover. And really shot themselves in the foot. They had a lot of opportunities to actually win that game outright. So it didn't really force Kansas City's hand. I don't expect the San Francisco 49ers to do that with so many weapons. We know how great of a play caller Shanahan is. And this is going to be two great offensive minds here. Andy Reid and Shanahan, I'm expecting some points here from both sides.
Would you not suggest taking Kansas City now at +2 because people, when push comes to shove, are going to go, hey, it's Mahomes versus Purdy, and look at Kansas City, and they you know what I mean? Like, I got a feeling, guys, that the line might go down to pick them, maybe San Francisco 1 instead of 2. So if you like Kansas City, probably take it now. If you like the Niners, maybe wait and get maybe even a better money line price.
I don't think, put it this way, if you like KC, though, in the teaser, I don't think it's going to 2.5. So this is probably as high. It was 2.5. It went down to the 1. I think the public next week will take Kansas City when the public starts betting this stuff over the weekend. They'll buy into the Mahomes factor, to the Kelsey factor, and all that. And they're the known team. They're the champions, and it'll be the anti-Brock Purdy stuff. So I can live with that, Cam. I don't think it'll move too much, though. I think my prediction is San Francisco close at 1.5. I think it moves down 0.5 point. But so if you like KC on the teaser, pull it now.
Yeah, I don't see it going much higher either. Right now, I'm seeing it at FanDuel Sportsbook. I think you can still get it at 2.5, and that's juiced up a little bit at $1.15. That's pretty much the only spot that I'm currently seeing it at. I said no way. It gets to 3. I just don't think that it's going to happen. I see it moving down if it moves anywhere at all. But if you're interested in the Chiefs, I would say now's the time to punch that ticket.
I think you could tease both sides of this game. Like you could take. Then, you're getting into alternate sort of total numbers, but let's just say you could take Kansas City at +9 and you could get San Francisco at +5. Some people would tell you not to cross over for that 5, Cam, but Kansas City play a lot of close games. So this will be a close game one way or the other. Now, we should note it was 11 last time. I don't think the winning margin will really be more than 7. I mean, the 1-6 winning margin could be worth a look. As well. All right, Cam, anything on the links here? My Morikawa pick is looking pretty good. He's lingering right now. He was 22-1. Now he's 12-1. What do you have for us in game for this tournament?
Yeah, it's been really good, Gabe. The winds were up, but Morikawa looked really good. He hit a couple putts tonight. I was going to say, if you're liking somebody, I kind of like your Morikawa pick. Cantlay looked absolutely amazing tonight, but there's a lot of guys in the 3 range. I'm already on. Gabe, you can attack like Tommy Fleetwood. He's 3 under. I like Fitzpatrick. Like I told you, I like Matthew Fitzpatrick, and he missed a few short ones today. So I would look at him from a live perspective in this game. But let me tell you, man, it's about the right side of the draw. This wind is going to be absolutely insane, and you got to get on because some guys are going to get burned and other guys aren't. The weather at Pebble is unpredictable, like in Europe. So that's what I'd be looking at right now. But great start for your Morikawa bet. I like Matt Fitzpatrick live, only 4 off the pace.
I don't want to depress you, Derek, but here come the Jazz, 77.
Yeah, here come the Jazz.
You said you're on the other side here,
Let's
right?
do
It's
it.
not bad. Here they come.
Yeah, I'm on the Jazz. Yeah, I'm on the Jazz.
Total 251.5.
Yeah, here they come.
They are playing at altitude here, so when you get to running a little bit, I think we can see some tired legs here going into that fourth quarter.
And the second half is set to begin in Los Angeles right now. The Ducks are up 46-39 They're suddenly 7.5-point favorites. The total is 164.5 in this game. And we're at the half right now at the Pauley Pavilion. It's 33-31. So the Beavers are only down 2. They're getting 7.5 in this game. And it's funny. I said, that plus 450 looks good on the money line. They moved it to plus 310. That's what it is right now. Now, listen, UCLA probably win the game, but that's not even a guarantee. We're talking about an 8-win team. So it's not like, they're a big favorite, but they'll win the game. They're not going to cover. They might not even win the game right now.
You guys are on Oregon. Would you think about taking USC at 6.5 and you got a 6-point window? Or are you just going to leave it be?
Okay. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it.
Maybe.
I'm not touching that one.
Okay.
Yeah, you're happy with my Oregon position. Yeah, we're happy. We're good where we're at here.
I'll take my chips and move on.
Okay.
Yeah, and if anything, I think the Ducks probably pull away.
They might.
I think they probably pull away more so than the Trojans. They're already up 10 right now. USC sloppy with the ball. They turn the ball over. They have no team chemistry. They can't shoot. There's a lot of it's about offense, man.
I think Andy Enfield did a terrible job with his team early on.
Hey, great stuff, Derek. Keep on defeating the book. Derek Dimes on Twitter.
Kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at this deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it on Sirius XM channel 159 of the SportsGrid radio and television networks. Shout out to all of our television affiliates and platforms. Wherever you may be watching us, countdown to the big game is on, Super Bowl 58. But we've got the Senior Bowl this week as well. Rick Saratella is going to step up and in at level 3. We'll break down the Senior Bowl. Let's bring in a man who we've been talking college football with on a weekly basis for years. Mr. Brent Beard steps up and in, First Coast News college football analyst. Always a pleasure, Brent. Thanks for joining us.
Other end of the house, and as soon as he hears your voice, he's on the table looking around.
I'm telling you, Brent, and I'm a big fan of your cat as well. I think after, if I ever wrap up my sports media career, I'm going to do like a cat show, Brent. Maybe you and I can co-host it. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like absolutely. A cat man, the cat whisperer. You know, like we'll do sort of like that guy that trained the dogs, and we'll just sort of look at the cat, and we'll have some big success on reality TV, Brent.
Hey, we would on this day and age, yes.
Yeah, people. Put it this way: people would rather look at our cats than you and I mugs. I tell you that. You can't go wrong. All right, Brent. Beautiful women and animals. You can't go wrong on TV. Yeah. I'll just tell you that right now, right? For ratings. And you can't go wrong with ratings when you talk about the Super Bowl. So Brent's a college maven. He's a Heisman Trophy voter, but he's also a football fan. And like all big football games in the National Football League, there's a heavy SEC contingent in this game. And some big impactful players. Obviously, Deebo Samuel being one of them. But Chris Jones, to me, is one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. If you're going to play on a team with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, look, you got Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. You got Kelce's one of the greatest tight ends ever and one of the most famous celebrities that football players in the history of the sport. It's hard for people to talk about other people when they talk about this team, but Chris Jones is an amazing football player. They wouldn't win these Super Bowls without this guy, Brent. And I tell you what, people in Starkville are very proud that he played his football at Mississippi State.
Well, I'll tell you what, people underestimate what Mississippi State is able to put out. Obviously, Mike Leach and then Zach Arnett. Jones is typical in the game of SEC players everywhere, particularly that rise to the occasion in big games. And I think that's what he's done. He's played against Southeastern Conference competition in his life. And he is ready. Look, people, I hope they understand, Gabe, players who play in the Big Ten, in the SEC, when they get to the NFL, with the players that they played in their career, they are ready to go to the next level. I think quicker than most of these other players are. And I think Jones is another great example of that.
If you look at the Detroit Lions, Brent, and how they're built, yes. It's a Big Ten SEC All-Star team, right? They basically, let's draft some O-linemen from the Big Ten. Let's get those Alabama speed burners, you know what I mean? The wide receivers, right? And that's how it's sort of being built right now. Now, Willie Gay is another one, another Mississippi State. Dak Prescott is as well. Dak Prescott played his football in Starkville, but Willie Gay didn't play in the conference championship game, but another impactful player for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And look, you mentioned the players on Detroit. Look, I know Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled, but Gibbs was a transfer from Georgia Tech, then Alabama. But he had 14 touchdowns for them this year. Brian Branch his last year at Alabama, probably the best player on the defense that they had. Look, that's a reality for the SEC. I don't care if it's a Super Bowl or the Senior Bowl. That's why general managers and scouts go looking for SEC and Big Ten players.
So what do you think about the Super Bowl, Brent? Most of the people that we talk to all say, you know what, I just can't go against Mahomes. As good as San Francisco is, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes. And the game's basically a pick 'em, Brent. Now, Brent's not a gambling man, but we're just saying Like even the betting markets are like, you go ahead and decide. You take who you want to take, right? Who's going to win the game? What do you think, Brent, about this? Is Mahomes going to take the next step in building his epic legacy, or is Shanahan? And what a story if it's going to be Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, wins the Super Bowl as a starting quarterback.
I'm going with Kansas City, but I'm going to give you a different take on this. I think they win it because of their defense. I think that defense has stepped up late, and I think they will make a major difference. And again, I love Mahomes. I mean, you really wonder after this if they win, will Reed step down? I'm fascinated by that, but at the same time, I don't, Gabe. This is something I've learned from you. You and I've had this conversation. I don't care what level it is. You're going to win these games on the line of scrimmage. This is going to be no different. That's why I like Kansas City.
And there's been talk about Andy Reid. There was talk of Andy Reid retiring behind the scenes earlier, about a month ago. And the word was that he didn't want it to be a distraction. Yeah. That he's not one of these. If he does it, like if Andy Reid retires, he doesn't want the retirement tour. Like he just would, that's done, I'm out, drop the mic and walk away. Yeah. I got to tell you what, though. Who wants to walk away when your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes and you're in the Super Bowl 4 years out of 5?
Yeah. And look, I'm not going to say he's got it on cruise control, but listen, I'd give this another year or two, unless there are just some issues. And I don't blame him for stepping away. I also understand that. I tell you what, Gabe, Reed reminds me of what I think he'll do what Nick Saban did. I think there won't be any parade. There won't be any celebration. He's just going to come up and say, look, guys, this is it. It's been a great run. It's time for the family and me to go somewhere and relax a little bit. I know he likes doing commercials, and I enjoy those. But Gabe, don't you think that's what he's going to do? It'll be quick, it'll be quiet, and he'll be done.
And we talk about Mahomes' legacy, Andy Reid's legacy, silently just become, unbelievable. It's rarefied air, right? Like to win one Super Bowl, okay, a lot, there's been guys. It's an epic accomplishment. But then you get that, there's tiers, right, Brent? Then you get the two win club, right? And then you get into the 3, and then you get into the 4s, and then suddenly, you're a legend. So speaking of legends, of course, there's been so much coaching change in the college football world. Nick Saban's retirement surprised everybody. There was a mass exodus of players that were recruited by Saban in Tuscaloosa. Now that the dust is starting to settle a little bit, and there were Washington players that started to transfer to Alabama, and in fact, they were almost happy. And and DeBoer, I don't think DeBoer's happy that he lost Caleb Downs or anything like that, but DeBoer did get a chance to get some of his guys in here right now. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, what's it look like from the outside looking in, Brent, as far as Alabama's roster?
I think it looks better than it has been. You're right. He's had a few Washington transfers who have come in, and they may get a few other guys. Remember, the portal opens again on April the 15th. So, and they may plug in a few more. But look, this is still going to be a pretty good team. Let me give you something to watch, and this has just come up, frankly, today is Ryan Grubb, the tremendous offensive coordinator from Washington now to Alabama. My understanding is, Gabe, and you may have heard more, he is looking at the Seahawks as a possibility. And look, part of the problem we've got, these college coaches are dealing with NIL. They're dealing with keeping their roster. They're dealing with tampering and all this other stuff. So we're seeing college coaches, even head coaches, go from college to the NFL to take an assistant's job. Gabe, I don't mean a head coaching job. I mean an assistant coaching job. And I think some of that's waiting on some of this stuff to calm down and settle down a little bit, don't you? So keep your eye on the Ryan Grubb situation. That may be something similar.
There's no doubt. And Saban has various reasons for wanting to retire, but there's no doubt that the modern football world of having to keep up and raise money, I think they start to feel like politicians almost. Right?
Really.
I need $20 million. I need $30 million. Right. I need this. If you want to keep us in office, if you like things the way they are, I need money. Don't tell me there's no way it didn't chase Mike Krzyzewski off a little bit. Right. And Saban and stuff. But it is fascinating, isn't it, watching this sort of the coaching world, the evolution of it, of everybody going to the NFL suddenly. Right? And Harbaugh sets the stage. Minter, instead of Minter saying, you know what, I'm going to become a college head coach. No, I'm going to go to the NFL too. And now, as you stated, the Boston College head coach left. That head coach left Boston College to become the defensive coordinator of the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Well, and look, they've gone to bowl games 3 out of 4 years. So and his record was around 500. I know Boston College, the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Bruins are all
listen, 500 is very good there. Let's just be real, Brent. That's what you're trying to say.
yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But Gabe, look, here's something else going on with that too. I think he knows that in the next year or so, they're going to have some teams leave the ACC. Now, Florida State's going to be probably the first, and they're trying to get this buyout down or to about half. And I think that's kind of what he sees. I'm not going to rule it out that it's all just NIL and so forth. I think the Boston College coach sees, I see this coming, and this may be the time for me to go. I think that's a part of this stuff too, frankly.
Brent, we've only got about a minute left here, and I always appreciate your time, but from what I understand, you and I have talked about this too. The Florida State buyout's like $146 million or something, isn't it? It's like literally 145. So is that what they're trying to do now? Because it's airtight. Credit to the ACC lawyers for coming up with this. And it's airtight because Florida State has spent the last 2 years trying to find holes in this contract, and they can't. So is that their new strategy? All right, listen. Instead of 145, how about we settle and we'll give you 75 mil?
Yeah, well, what's happened here, they figured it out and done the math, and I'll be quick about this, that actually to get out total, it may be closer to $500 million. So what they're trying to do is negotiate that, probably about half of that at 250 where the ACC gets some money, and they're able to get out. I still think they go to the Big Ten when they're able to do that. So there's a lot involved. It's amazing, isn't it? But
the SEC is going to panic if Florida State like that. I don't even know if the SEC wants Florida State, but they're not going to want the Big Ten and Florida in the conference, which is, let's be real, that's the next step of the takeover, right? That's the next one. If it's Miami.
Kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell,
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was good
late
betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
Yeah.
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's roll this. It's SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Always great kicking it with Brent Beard, talking football and college football. And we've got the NFL draft coming up. We'll be all over it. The All-Star games have begun. But we've got NBA basketball going on right now. 93-92. We jumped in on the Utah Jazz plus 4.5 points. And it's now 93-93. They just hit a free throw to tie the game with 0.6 seconds left in the third quarter. So it could be a nice symbolic comeback for them. They were down 10 going into the third quarter of play. So they've erased the deficit. Now they just took the point off the board. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's not me. Trust me. Anyone watching the game right now saw what I saw. They put it up. They took it down. They put it up. Now it's 93-93. So we're tied after 3 quarters of play. Looks like our in-game totals could be a little bit of a trouble, but Utah looking good. I almost had to do a double take. I'm sure people are going to be doing double takes tonight when they look at the Lakers beating the Celtics. Man, like really? The NBA is whacked. And we're going to see this, too, with their All-Star game coming up. You're going to see a lot of, like, weird results and upsets, and it's already happening. Not to mention, too, the Boston Celtics are one of these teams. They've been in the finals. They've been in the playoffs so much over the last couple of years that really what happens in a regular season at this point is irrelevant to them, right? It just is. Like, the Celtics are like the Leafs at this point, except the Celtics are better, but because they've actually made it to the finals. But, you know, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the Celtics will solely be judged on what happens in the postseason, but they're really good, so they're going to be big favorites all the time. They're laying all these points. Like the other night against the Pelicans, right? The Pelicans were up big, man. Yeah, Boston came back. Now, tonight, Austin Reeves goes off for 32. Pretty crazy stuff. He hit 7 3-point shots tonight. So it was a wild day today. We'll get people caught up to date on the other side. We haven't even gotten to the blockbuster news from the world of Formula One. Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes to go to Ferrari. Like, what? Like, whoa. All right, a lot of bombshells.